Mm.
Hey, welcome to the show, everyone. Tonight we're going to be talking about the crown chakra, which is why we have our hair down tonight. That's
Yes.
energy's
And
emanating
why
from the
and
crown.
why Asatar has a horn coming out of his crown chakra.
You guys see the horn? Antler, actually. We
Antler.
we teach this live stream meditation class each week. We start with the meditation comes out of Sufism and the
Mm.
lineage of Hazrat Khan. My name is Dr. Asatar Bear. My co-teacher here, Leah Schaefer.
Hello and welcome. Mm.
And tonight we're concluding our series on the chakras, the energy centers of the body. And we've arrived at the highest chakra. This is the one that is, you see pictures, religious pictures, right, depicting a holy person and they have a halo, right?
Yeah.
That's a representation of this center. It's actually outside of the body. It's the center that is not in the body, right? So the most
Is it
subtle.
is it also connected? I always think of it as like also connected to the top of the skull, though. Like where you would place the
Yes,
crown, right at the
right.
same time. Okay.
Yeah.
Just checking.
Well, I mean, that's the closest point, right? Like that. So, yeah. And
Oh,
the energy is expressed, in this, you feel this right at the top of the head. So, we're dealing with a center, energetic center that is very subtle, that is about our relationship with spirit. And so we thought it'd be good to just talk a little bit about, like, well, what is that? And, what is spirit? And like, how do you experience that? How do you know when you're in touch with your spirit, you know?
mm, yeah, yeah. It's a good question.
Maybe it's one of those things
Um,
where you just feel it, right? Maybe you know
yeah,
when you feel it, right? There
yeah,
is
we're
something
very
because
yeah,
we're
and we're
talking about
very
something
curious.
mysterious, you know.
What? What did you say?
I just said we're talking about something that's mysterious, you know.
Yes, very mysterious. Well, and I always think about the kings and the queens that wear the crown, like they're wearing this bedangled, is that a real word? Like bedangled like crown on top of their head. And they're like, I am connected to the divine, right? Like that's like that whole deal. Like I'm divinely connected and I'm gonna prove it with gold and jewels.
Right.
But you
There's
don't have to have that to be able to be divinely connected.
no, of course not.
Um,
I mean,
it's not a
it's about
prerequisite.
the vibe, right?
Yeah.
So you have this
You
like
can be the
expression.
poorest per go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. There's a delay. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's like there's an expression of radiance, an expression of
Yeah.
splendor, of
Yeah.
glory, right?
Yeah.
But there are a lot of these old Sufi stories about, Sufis who are often beggars and whatever. They have nothing.
Yeah.
They'll
Yeah.
show
Like
up
you
with
can
some
be the
incredible crown.
yeah, the thing is that you can be the poorest of the poor and still have access to your divinity. And that's, the divinity I've is like it's in our hearts, it is within us, within the core of our being. But it's like this feeling of that connection to the divinity and this feeling of like I would say realizing your divinity and being liberated by that realization.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
And it can be a lot to hold that sense of, because it's so embodies the ideal, right? It's the highest, right? I mean, when we talk about spirit, we're
Mm.
talking about the infinite. We're talking about a world that is without limitation, a world of perfection, of
Mm.
purity, you know? And that can be a lot to hold, right? That could be a lot to lay claim to and say,
Nailed
"Oh,
it.
this is because we're in a world of limitation, right? We're in a world of
Yeah.
imperfection. We're in a world of impurities, right?
And it gets so
And yet our
distorted too.
spirit is perfect, you know? So
Yeah, and it gets so distorted, like the purity, like when I think of the word purity, like I have a very distinct like understanding of like that meaning me feeling very free and clear inside myself, right? But that gets mistaken for piety a lot. And so like,
yeah,
being pious does not necessarily like add up to something good all the time when there's like too much rigidness, when there's too much dogma. um I feel like it's like everybody has to find their own way. I
mm,
don't think that I think that causing harm to ourselves or others knowingly, that's always going to be a wrong way. But in general, we have to find our way, and there's no perfect way for every single person, but it's more that we connect with our own inner divine connection and divine inheritance on the way that it wants to process through us individually.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Mm.
So
I think there's that feeling of, you know, a feeling of just of connection, right? Of I'm part of all beings, and all beings are
yeah,
part of, you know.
yeah,
So, and I think there's a lot of different things. There's a lot of experiences in life that give us that feeling of connection. You know, I mean, sometimes it's like a conversation with somebody's saying something. It's fascinating. You know, you just want to like
yeah.
take in, right? What is that point of view? What are the, or you want to learn from somebody, right? Or you love someone, right? You admire
Mm,
someone, you respect someone, you know, like these are moments where you feel that connection, you know, and
mm.
maybe you're not in touch with this sort of limitless dimension of it, right? But it's it's taking us outside of ourselves, or outside of ourselves as
Mhm.
a narrow kind of construct, you know?
Yeah, yeah. It's like it opens the door in a way. Like these experiences of divine connection or unity with another person or with the plant or with something in particular where you open. It's like doors open and
Yeah,
the limitation dissipates, right? But I love the phrase, omnipotent, omnipresent, all pervading, the only being.
mm.
That's
A line from
one of
one of the prayers, Hazrat Anayat Khan, yeah,
yeah,
describing the nature of God and of spirit, right? The all-pervading, omnipotent, you know, all-powerful, right? So
yeah.
very, very,
It's like the energy that's inside everything and everywhere. And I always experience it like
mm,
I always experience it as like an atmosphere. It's like suddenly it's almost like something activates in me and I just suddenly it's almost like an antenna or something, and it just clicks into some frequency, and when that happens I feel suddenly attuned. I feel attuned with something that is in the atmosphere, is in the air.
yeah,
But I'm not outside my body. I might even be more present in myself when that happens, because it's like it tunes me to such a pitch that suddenly I remember my connection to all things, and I feel the omnipotent all around me and within me.
yeah, yeah.
How do you
Wow.
experience it?
um, we've got a comment here
We're
before I
glad
answer that.
someone's here.
Hi, Dr. Vera. I recently stopped using drugs. I'm a longtime addict, and your meditation classes have been helping keeping me going. Thank you. Glad to hear that. Yeah, yeah, that's great. Well done.
Yeah. Yeah, well
You
done.
know,
It's takes a lot of will.
yeah. You know, it's often the case that drugs provide us with an altered state. You know that
Yeah.
they they suppress certain aspects of our rational mind. You know, and it's our rational mind that maintains the illusion of separateness. You know, that maintains
Mhm.
our individuality out in the world. Right. So if drugs attenuate that, you know, it often gives us this feeling of connection. You know.
Mhm.
And maybe that's part of why, you know, it can feel good to do that, right? To be able to access that state. Um, so the state is that's like part of our inheritance, right? It's just recognizing the truth, which is that we're all connected, we're all one, right? Um,
Mhm.
with that said, drugs aren't the best way to achieve that state, in my view. Um,
Well, it's
I've
not
done
sustainable.
lots of different drugs. I've done lots of
Mhm.
meditation. I've, been pushed to experiment with lots of different things, and the drugs are just they're very unreliable. As a way of getting to that, you might get that state, you might not. Um,
Yeah.
versus training yourself in meditation, again, there's no guarantee, right? You might get to that state, you might not. But if you don't, you're building your inner strength. You're building your ability to sit. You're building your willpower. You're building your discipline. You're building your focus, your concentration. Perhaps that opens to an experience of infinite connection. Um, but even if it doesn't, there's a lot of benefits, right? So, you know, in my view, it's just a better way to achieve that state. So I'm delighted to hear that you feel the same, perhaps, right?
Yeah. Well,
It's good.
it's safer. Like, the thing is you can have
Yeah.
these experiences with, drugs, and they even talk about this in the Upanishads, not the Upanishads, but the Yogic Sutras, they talk about this, and so it's very much like the drugs can give you these altered states, but it's not sustainable, essentially. Like, you're going to be causing harm to yourself, myself, we're gonna be causing harms to ourselves, um,
Right.
in the long run, so it isn't sustainable in that way, and also it's not safe. Like, the thing is like, you don't wanna open the doors too quickly, and the thing is with the meditation practices, especially with heart rhythm meditation, because you're staying anchored in yourself and you're staying centered in yourself, you're gonna be able to have a reliable, safe method of accessing these other states of consciousness.
Yeah, absolutely. But I often see, people who have that spiritual connection get into drugs, because I think the fact is that does, our culture kind of worships drugs, I mean, like, and we have
Mm,
arbitrary distinctions, right? Here's the ones that are legal and here's the ones that are illegal, right? But we love the idea culturally of like taking a pill and, like for
the
whatever
quick
issue you.
fix.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a quick fix, exactly. And um, and it's kind of it's part of this grand illusion that's around us all the time too, which is that there's some kind of outward thing that's going to give you that inner thing that you're longing for. We all
yeah,
longing for connection. We're longing to experience the reality of the one being, the one life, right? That is all beings, all things, right? Are one. Um, and it's like this is basically the teachings of our culture. Our culture does not train us in meditation. It does not give us access to these very powerful tools. And if it did, Leah and I would probably not be here doing this show, right? Because
yeah,
people would already know, right? Like we wouldn't be needed there.
yeah, yeah, I mean, the science is definitely out there already, like, with the benefits of meditation, but I still think it's very lacking in the pervasiveness of how to actually do it and how to actually do it in a fundamental way that incorporates both the highs and the lows. Because,
Yeah.
there's also an escapism that is very pervasive within our culture, and we can't ignore the depths, and we can't pretend there's no pain. That's just
Right.
not realistic, and it's also not holistic. It's not incorporating and embracing the human experience that we are having. So it's
Yeah.
just so fundamentally important to learn these tools and to teach them to other people, to learn how to access these parts of ourselves. But it's like, and you want it to be like all like, so opening up the crown is like, the idea is to bring heaven into earth, and earth is your body. Like,
Yeah.
you don't wanna just it's not
Right.
just about being like, "Whee! Here we go, and I'm gonna be a little balloon for the rest of my life." Like, you wanna actually bring it down and through, into form, even if
Right.
that form is just through your own self, your own healing.
I mean, just to make that a
Mhm.
little more specific, right? Sometimes, when you're meditating, you close your eyes. a lot of times you get into an altered state where you feel very expanded. Your mind might even feel sort of spaced out, right? Um, sometimes there's even a kind of dissociation that can happen. And, we are believers in really bringing that sense of vastness, but we're bringing it into the self, not losing um, not losing ourselves in it, in the sense of that, that we are, that we're less able to experience life, because we're unlimited beings, but we're in a limited world, right? So
Yeah.
we have to be
And I
both.
mean, and I also mean it quite literally. Like, I mean it quite literally in the sense, like, we open our consciousness to something much bigger than ourselves, and then we bring it into our somatic self, like we bring it into our body.
Yeah,
And we do that with our breath. And so, especially to bring those larger states of conscious, like those larger like energies, into where we hold the pain somatically. So where the trauma lives in your body, you
yeah,
bring it in there and through there as it shows up to you, as it wants to heal.
absolutely.
So, all right, shall we? Is it time?
Yeah, sure.
I'm gonna do the first meditation and also try with you in a second. So stretch it out if you need to stretch at all. I do. Um, let's try it out. so, so the fun thing about I'm gonna anchor us into our heart quite a bit in this meditation because that will help us stay in our body while we're connecting to the divine. But just to kind of re-emphasize the power of healing that the crown chakra holds is like we go through so much in our life. So go ahead, close your eyes and start to deepen your breath. Now, you and I, we have all been through so much in our lives. And you just want to feel that. So as you're breathing, just let yourself feel in your body everything you've been through, accepting exactly who you are in this moment. And the more that it's difficult to accept what you're feeling, the deeper your breath can be. In other words, it's like you're breathing into the intensity. That's how you're showing up for yourself. That's how you're accepting exactly what is in this moment. And try to go deeper into your actual body. Try to breathe so deeply, so fully that there's enough energy to move out of your head and into your deeper parts of yourself. And the deep breathing, it has to do with allowing your abdomen, you're really allowing your diaphragm to move to its fullest capacity. And it can be helpful to allow your lower abdomen to open up as you inhale in order to bring the breath deeper. And as you exhale, a lot of that exhalation is very much like it feels very natural, but we hold breath in our lungs all the time. And so you want to exhale further and further and further. But while you exhale further outward, you stay anchored inward. And so it's always this first step of acceptance, this first step of joining in with your true feelings, your true experiences in this moment. What is it like to be you right now? What are you facing? What are the limitations you're coming up against? And you just breathe into it, whatever's there. In working with trauma, this is called the bottom up method. So we are using our breath, our deep, full breath, to change our patterns of our muscles and of our consciousness. And so, just what you're doing right now, just this full breath, is already doing a lot for your body, a lot for you emotionally and physically. You're literally changing the pattern of your breath, which is just as unique as your fingerprint, just as unique as your own self. Your breath pattern mimics how you're feeling. And by altering it consciously, you are changing your patterns within. And in this moment, you're starting to make your breath full. And now we're going to start to make our breath rhythmic. And so at first, with that rhythmic nature, just try to be as musical as you can, in the sense of trying to make the breath feel rhythmic, trying to make the inhale and the exhale feel equal to each other. We're going to add in a few more interventions to make that very harmonic on a very refined way. But for now, just work on making that rhythm inside to the best of your ability and start to anchor yourself deeper into your own heart. We're going to go more into the crown chakra with the second meditation with Asatar. But right away, I want you to try to find some limitation that you're coming up against. So, the reason why I want to do that with you this evening is because that pain that you might be experiencing, or that limitation, that frustration, whatever it might be, that you're carrying around with you that you cannot seem to reconcile. The good news is that it is as limited as ourself, right? Like our individual small lowercase self. But the universal energies that we're going to tap into with the crown, those are unlimited. Those are unlimited energies. And so no matter how bad the pain is, no matter what you're feeling inside tonight, I want you to go into that feeling tonight and really honor it by being present with it, because we're going to start there. And at the end of this meditation, we're going to tap into those universal energies to wash it through. We are a drop in the ocean. And so the pain we feel, though it's valid and it's real and it's important, we can wash it through with the ocean of universal life. And so it starts with you trusting yourself. It starts with you breathing into that pain. So whatever your heart is carrying, whatever burden or limitation you're carrying tonight, breathe into it now. feel it, accept that you're feeling it, and feel it more. And your breath is like the friend at this point. Your breath is helping you meet it, helping you be brave. And now, before we go into the crown, because we'll do that with Asatar, we're going to go into our heart. And so, first, we're going to allow our heart to hold this. And so, what I'd like you to do is try to see, can you feel your heart? Can you feel your heart physically, emotionally, and energetically? Or one of the three? And it's like you're going to allow, as you do this deep, full rhythmic breathing, you're going to allow your heart to expand as you pay attention to your heart. Let your heart hold your full experience in this moment. Let your heart get bigger. And then we're going to anchor ourselves. So we're going to be tapping into bigger energies. So first we want to anchor ourselves. And one of the best ways to do that is with your heartbeat. So whatever it takes for you right now to feel your heartbeat as you breathe, I want you to do that. So maybe you can feel it right away. Maybe it's right there like an internal drum knocking on heaven's door. Or maybe you have to place a hand on your heart and you can feel your heartbeat on the palm of your hand. Or maybe you need to find a pulse point, the echo of the heartbeat, placing fingers on your wrist or fingers on your neck. And then continue to breathe full, deep breath and feel this anchor, feel your internal drum throughout the duration of your full breathing. Anchor yourself deeper and deeper and deeper into your heart. Find your center, know your core. It's yours, it's your own. Now start to breathe rhythmically with your heartbeat. So if you're first learning this, you'll have to count. If you've been practicing this for a while, place a sacred word on your heartbeat. Something that maybe means the all, the one, something that's a double beat. Brahma. Brahma is a Sanskrit word that means this. It can be any word, placing it on your heartbeat to help you remember the all, the one. And then breathing in rhythm with your heartbeat. We recommend 8 heartbeats in, 8 heartbeats out, but it varies. So listening to your body. And then maybe playing with trying to keep that internal anchor, trying to keep that heartbeat. If that's where you're at, I know I'm giving you a lot. If this is new for you, if that's where you're at, stay there. But if you can, feel that heartbeat, feel that deep inner anchor. Bum, bum. But then see if you can feel the expansion of your heart's field. So try to feel both at once. Try to feel your own internal deepest anchor, that heartbeat, and hold on to it for dear life. But then at the same time, try to feel the walls of your heart's own field, which is much larger than your body. Starting to attune yourself with the larger atmosphere, the larger life around you. Both at once, the inner anchor and the most expanded sense of your heart's field. Very good. And then let's let go of breathing this way. Thank yourself for sitting. And we'll come back into our meditation in just a moment. Move your body and open your eyes. Mm.
Mm, nice meditation.
Thank you. Mm.
I was thinking about the ways that connecting to spirit can help us. You know,
Mm.
that
Yeah.
our spirit represents our deepest truth.
Yeah.
I mean, we go through life. We have to make compromises, right? But are we doing that in a way that is in line with our spirit or not, in a way that weakens our spirit. I mean, we have to be in touch to know, right? Um,
Yeah.
but the what does Subi say, right? That your soul, your spirit, can never be corrupted, can never be, it can never be impure, right? But it can be covered up. We can forget, and then we find ourselves not living in a way that is true to who we really are,
Mm.
and just how powerful it is in so many ways to tap into the truth of your being, to really
Mhm.
know who you are. Um, it's powerful in a way that I can't even express. Um, so I don't know if we're here trying to be practical, with
Are we? Are we trying to be practical?
maybe not. We try to help if we can, right? So it's like the
Well, we
question.
definitely try to help, but
We try to be as practical as we can while still talking about spiritual things.
yeah, that's the whole art form of it. No, I want to just echo what you just said, Asatar, because it's true. It's like the darkest nights of our soul, the darkest nights of our lives. That reawakening to our soul and our spirit is the way through it, and
Yeah,
that remembrance of our connection to the greater light and how it lives within us, burns within us always.
I'm at a moment in my own life where I feel like I'm carrying a lot, and
Yeah.
like I'm reflecting on this for me, and it's like, well, whatever I'm carrying, I'm not carrying it alone. You know, um,
Yeah.
I have this. We like I say, we're all connected. We're all one. So what what one of us carries, we all carry. But we don't see it that way, right? We cordon ourselves off and put ourselves in a cubby and all of this, and then it's like we cut ourselves off from the help that's there too. So for
Yeah, it was
me,
a
it's about
very,
remembering that that's there. And
you said for me what? What did you say? For me
that
what?
just that it's about remembering that
Yeah.
is there, um, that I'm not alone in what I carry.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not our fault. Like, I mean, sure, we make mistakes. We're humans. Like, it's true. I'm not trying to, we have to, when we do something really wrong, you can never make sweeping statements, right? But like, when we do something really wrong, yeah, we've done something really wrong. But like, at the same time, I think a lot of times bad things happen to us, or our society doesn't support us properly, right? Or they try on purpose to make us crazy and divided, right? Like they try to undereducate us so that we're always impoverished, things like that. And then
Yeah.
then like we blame ourselves, like I know that happens a lot. Like that kind of thing happens a lot. Like we blame ourselves for the pain that we experience on a deep fundamental level. um, and I think it's helpful to remember that we're not in control of everything. you know, like sometimes spirit wants us to have the terrible road that we didn't want to go down, like that's how I don't want to chalk it all up to like a hallmarky statement, but it's just I really do feel like it's not always our fault and it's not always something we've done wrong. It's sometimes very much just the way it has to be
Right.
for un
Absolutely.
for unknown reasons. Yeah.
Yeah. No, we would never want to suggest that anything happening to you is somehow your fault, right? I mean, this is a limited world that we occupy, that and that limitation means there's going to be suffering.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, there's karma, there's cause and effect, right? So our actions do have consequences, but
Yeah,
that's not
that's
all there
important.
is. That's
Right.
not all there is. That's not,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
like bad things happen to good people. That's a reality, right? I mean,
Right.
you know, we would never want to suggest otherwise, right? I mean,
Yeah, that's such a good line too. So,
and it causes us to question, like, why, God, why is this happening, to this sense being, and um,
what
so we don't want to deny that, but and it's important just to remember, like if it's happening to you, like, I mean,
Mhm.
there's so many ways you could reflect, but I think that one problem is we're encouraged to blame ourselves, for things that
Yeah,
aren't ours,
yeah, yeah. I would say, like, most of the people I know, I do know a lot of good people. Like,
Yeah,
most of the people I know kinda take it on as their own even when it's not, and so that's more the category I'm talking to. I'm not talking about the selfish billionaires that really should give more of a shit, but, like, that's not who I'm talking to. Like, I'm very much talking to
well, if you are
my
listening, Billy, take note.
If you're
We're
listening, please
encouraged to
donate.
blame
Please
ourselves if
donate
we're
to
poor, right? I mean,
right.
like talking about this issue, right? Like, oh, that's your fault. You're poor. No, it's not. Are you kidding me? I mean, like, and we, our culture teaches us this so that we, don't look at, why it is that there's rich and poor,
Yeah,
it has something to do with people exploiting other people, of course.
yeah.
But that's not what we're here for tonight. We're here
No.
to,
Well, let's
one of the,
meditate.
let's
What are
meditate.
you gonna what were you gonna say? No, what you were about to say something.
Well, I'm segueing anyway, but one of the things I've been really thinking about a lot relative to the crown chakra, because of course we've missed class a couple of times, and so we've had time to think about this topic, and
Mhm.
is how um, making your breath different can I mean this is the whole study, right, of this. How do you change your energy? How do you uncover different aspects of your spirit? How do you tap into this? And it's you pay attention to your fundamental uh, rhythm. You pay attention to your breath, and then you change your breath. And one of the ways that I've been really working with lately in terms of this is by making the breath really refined. Um, So the practice is called define breath, and it means to develop your breath so that the flow of breath is um, very smooth, very quiet, um, very even. The flow of it is even, um, and and that the volume of it becomes over time smaller.
Mm.
And it's a real study because we also want, we talk a lot about in our rhythm meditation using your whole lung capacity and working on the full breath. So if you're going to make your breath fine and also have it be full, the only way to do that is for the breath to take a longer time to, you know, do for the inhalation, exhalation, and there's I just have
Mhm.
noticed in practicing this for many years, like how powerful that is as a way of feeling that spirit is breath and breath is spirit. Um, you feel it more when the breath is finer, um, when the breath
Mm.
is quieter, when the breath is more slight, you know. Um, so I want to work with that tonight. Um,
I love how
did you?
enticing you just made that. That's so great. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. All right. Well, take care of take your upright posture then, and just like Leah taught us, gave us an excellent preparation here for working with the breath. We always want to have that foundation. With heart rhythm meditation, we're always working on making the breath deep. So that means expanding the belly as you breathe in, letting that belly expand. And as you breathe out, the belly contracts, making your breath slow, which I already talked about, but that means your breath takes a longer time to complete. And you do that by using your abdominal muscles. You're going to be using your abdominal muscles much more than you normally do when you're breathing. And we also want to make the breath rhythmic and heart centered. So, tuning into your heart center, your physical heart, the beating of your heart, and bringing that into rhythm with your breath. So, the same number of beats on the inhalation as there are on the exhalation. And I want to acknowledge that this is difficult. This takes practice. You might be able to do it right away, but maybe not. Many people cannot. So, whatever is happening for you is right for you. If you feel drawn to exploring this practice, to developing it, you just recognize it's like if I told you to stand on your hands. You could do it, but it would take some work, right? It would take some preparation. Maybe there are some gifted among you who could do it right away, but for most of us, it takes work, and that's okay. Deep, slow, rhythmic, heart centered breathing. And we'd also like to make the breath full, so using the full capacity of our lungs, really stretching the breathing in much more than you think you can, and breathing out much more than you might think. Now, if you feel drawn to develop this practice, I would like you to get to a place where you can breathe in for 8 heartbeats and breathe out for 8 heartbeats. You might not be able to do that right away, and that's all right. You might not be able to feel your heartbeat right away. That's okay too. If you can't feel it, place your hand on your chest. Place your fingertips on your breastbone and lightly press. If that doesn't work, you could just imagine the beating of your heart. You're probably not far off. Now we want to tune into our energetic body here, which emanates from the center of our chest, from that heart center. We want to tune into the finest aspect of it, the most subtle aspect of our energetic field, and that is this crown chakra. Our connection to spirit. The awakening of unity, of that state where we know that there is only one. Infinite, perfect, eternal, unlimited. Now, as you're working with your breath, and I hope that you are keeping it deep, keeping it slow, keeping it rhythmic, heart centered, and full, which is itself a great, great study. I've been doing it for many, many years, and I feel like I'm still learning something each day. Tune into the breath, pay attention to it every moment, and notice the flow of the breath and try to make it more regular. It's going to take a lot of abdominal control. You might be tempted to try to control the breath by restricting it in your throat or restricting it in your nasal passages. But don't do that. That's not a good way of controlling the breath. It's not, it introduces a restriction where you don't want one. Instead, control your core, control your abdominal muscles so that when you breathe out, your breath, especially if you breathe out more than you're used to, then your breath is naturally going to want to rush in. And if you allow your breath to rush in, then it's going to be difficult to complete the inhalation. You'll kind of run out of breath, right? So, and that means your breath is not smooth. It does not have a smooth flow. It rushes in and then starts to trickle out. So work on controlling that flow so that it's more even, more smooth. This is the work of refining the breath. In yoga, this is called pranayama. Prana is breath, and yama is discipline or control. We discipline the breath and we discipline the self. We make the breath refined and we refine ourselves. We become more and more sensitive to the world of spirit. Spirit is not bound by time or place. It is not limited in any way. It is endless and infinite. By tapping into spirit, we tap into the one. What a relief it is for our souls to be in touch with the infinite. Here we have been living in this box, this tiny, tiny box, limited in time and space. But our spirits cannot be limited. There is no limitation. As you refine the breath, you might begin to notice that the breath has very different energy, even within one part of the breathing cycle. As you begin your exhalation, the energy takes a certain form, and as you continue it, that energy changes, builds, transforms. As you reach the end of the exhalation, the breath becomes more and more powerful, more and more subtle. And the same with the inhalation. As you take in breath and fill your belly, and then allow your lungs to expand, your chest to expand, still keeping the control of your breath. Always working on that even flow, that refinement. Never is your breath broken or jagged. That smooth, even flow. Every moment I have spent seeking to develop my breath has paid such dividends. I am astounded. Spirit is everywhere. Spirit exists forever. But let your spirit coalesce. Let your spirit be concentrated in your heart, in your emotions, in your being, in your personality, in your body. This is also spirit, for spirit pervades every level of being. We have been taught a simplification, which is that there is matter and there is spirit, and there is a division between the two. But this is too simplistic. Spirit is all pervading, it is at every level of reality. So do not think that you need to go somewhere else to experience spirit. We experience it right here, right now, just as we experience it everywhere and always. In the words of Hazrat Inayat Khan, toward the one, the perfection of love, harmony, and beauty, the only being. united with all the illuminated souls who form the embodiment of the Master, the Spirit of guidance. And we'll end our meditation there.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Beautiful.
Well, we're out of time for this evening, so I think we've done. I think that we're at a good point here. We'll be back next week with another class.
We don't know what we're going to cover yet, so if you have any suggestions, let us know.
Let us know.
Let us know. We'll be here. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Happy meditating.
Take care, everyone. Good night.
Good night.